What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So the new leader of the House of Commons and Brexiteer, Jacob Rees Mogg, appeared on the ITV Peston show Wednesday night after being included in Boris Johnson's Brexit cabinet. The host, Robert Peston, asked him about the possibility of a no-deal Brexit and a general election, prompting Jacob to call out the lying traitors in Parliament. Let's check it out.
Now, I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by Jacob Rees Mogg, newly promoted by Boris Johnson to be leader of the House of Commons. Evening, Jacob. One of the most radical...
Good evening, and I'm sorry I'm not with you in the studio, which I promised to be ages ago, and obviously events have overtaken me, so my apologies.
It's been a busy day for you and for Boris Johnson. Now, we have rarely seen an overhaul of government quite as radical as this. Are you a fan of what the Prime Minister has done?
I think the Prime Minister was very clear early on that he needed a cabinet that was committed to leaving on the 31st of October. But actually, quite a number of members of the cabinet supported Remain in the referendum. So it's not a purge of Remainers against bringing in Leavers. It is simply people who are willing to accept that we must leave on the 31st and a feeling that a new Prime Minister needs a different team.
Well, all the sort of key positions are filled by absolutely passionate believers in Brexit. Dominic Cummings back, effectively as the sort of chief executive of the operation. Do you believe it yourself that this team can negotiate a new deal with the EU? Many say that this is a preparation really for a no-deal Brexit.
But can I divide up your question? Because you say
please.
Passionate Leavers in all the key positions, but Sajid Javid and Liz Truss, who've both got very important positions, are both backed Remain during the referendum. Dominic Cummings is obviously very important because he is very capable at policy, was instrumental in Michael Gove's education reforms, and is also a very effective campaigner, as he showed during his leadership of Vote Leave. So yes, his appointment is very important, but I think to characterise it as a sort of Vote Leave coup is a mistake, and is forgetting that the Chancellor of the Exchequer and the International Trade Secretary were both Remainers.
Now, you have this hugely important job now as leader of the House. One of your really important tasks will be to try and persuade the House to back whatever kind of Brexit Boris Johnson comes up with. It's going to be a bit of a challenge, isn't it?
Well, it would be absurd to pretend it would be easy, considering that the Prime Minister's outgoing Prime Minister's deal was initially defeated by 230 votes. But we will have to see what the new Prime Minister gets in terms of an arrangement from Brussels, and to see whether people prefer that to leaving without any arrangement at all. So that will be the choice that Parliament faces.
What is your own belief, if it is looking like a no-deal Brexit? Do you think you've got any chance of getting that through the House of Commons?
Well, the House of Commons, it has to be remembered, has already passed the Article 50 Act and the Withdrawal Act. So the law, passed by the House of Commons, agreed by the House of Commons, is that we leave on the 31st of October with or without a deal. So just for the status quo to maintain means that we leave without a deal unless a deal is passed. So when people say the House of Commons will stop it, they're rather forgetting that the House of Commons has already agreed to it.
But, loads of your colleagues tell me that they are going to work night and day to stop a no-deal Brexit, even to the point of voting against Boris Johnson and this government in a vote of no confidence. Are you frightened of a general election or, fought on the basis of Brexit?
Well, I think if you're interviewing any of those people, you should raise with them the question of how they managed to stand on a manifesto that said no deal was better than a bad deal, how they managed to be part of a government that was making no deal preparations. What was that all fantasy? Was that all something they thought was dreadful and went along with for the sake of a quiet life? Or have they suddenly changed their minds because they're no longer in the cabinet? I think these are serious questions for people of that turn of mind, and you have to ask them, why did they vote for 2 acts of Parliament which mean we leave with or without a deal now on the 31st of October? Was it just that they hoped a deal might be found? I think people have to be consistent in how they behave.
Jacob, I mean, obviously, I'm going to take your advice. I've got Rees Stewart, who's resigned from the Cabinet precisely on this issue because he opposes a no deal on the show tonight, and I will put that question to him. But you didn't actually answer my question of whether you personally would be frightened of fighting a general election on the platform of delivering a no deal Brexit.
Oh no, I certainly wouldn't be frightened of the British people. That, as the new Prime Minister Boris Johnson has pointed out, we should trust the people. He pointed out so clearly he is the servant of the people as the new Prime Minister, and I think in their wisdom that if these circumstances arose, then they would back leaving the European Union a second and a third time.
Now, finally, one of the things that some of your colleagues have been shocked by is how ruthless Boris Johnson has been in remaking the Cabinet. 2/3 gone, either sacked or resigned before they were pushed out. The mood on your backbenches is going to be bloody. He's going to be facing terrible opposition, isn't he, when Parliament reassembles after summer holidays?
Well, inevitably there will be a reaction, as there always is, to any reshuffle. I think it's hard to say the mood on the backbenches was enormously sunny beforehand. I don't think it will be very greatly different.
And so, just to finish off, what is your central projection at the moment? General election in the autumn?
The question on a general election is about actually a vote of confidence, and the question there for Conservatives is, do they want to take the risk of Jeremy Corbyn? It is clearly not the policy of the government to bring on a general election, and it's worth remembering that since the Fixed Term Parliament Act 2011, the Prime Minister no longer has the ability to call a general election willy-nilly. That was taken away from him, and therefore I don't see that being a government objective. But it's impossible to rule out looking at the parliamentary arithmetic.
Jacob, as always, an absolute joy to see you. Come and join us again
thank you.
soon, and good luck with what I imagine will be a rather challenging few weeks.
Will certainly be interesting. Thank you.
It certainly will be.
So right off the bat, this host is an idiot for calling the Boris cabinet appointments a radical overhaul of government we have never seen. Except every time we get a new PM, they bring in their own team. This is not a government reshuffle, it's a new Prime Minister with new ideas. The way the media are portraying what Boris did as some unseen and terrible thing is completely disingenuous. I would bet with every new Prime Minister, they have a completely new team or near enough. The BBC, ITV, Sky News, they are all running the same shit, or have been recently at least. It's a dirty smear campaign aimed at making him look like an authoritarian ruler the UK has never seen before. It's Boris Johnson. The guy's an admitted feminist, for fuck's sake. He's not exactly Idi Amin now, is he? JRM rightly points out he needed a fresh cabinet that wanted to leave the EU, since we all know the Maybot team did their best to fuck Brexit up. Even though some of Boris Johnson's cabinet are Remainers, they have apparently signed up to support no deal if needed, which we all know could come back to bite Boris in the arse. The ITV host outright lies again, saying all top posts have been taken by staunch Brexiteers, when, as Jacob rightly corrects him, 2 of the top jobs have gone to Remain voters, in Sajid Javid and Liz Truss. Surely this shitweasel host knew in advance that Boris had appointed Remoaners to top jobs. Maybe he was trying to angle for a job at the BBC with these outright lies. Peston asked Jacob if he thinks there is any chance of getting a no-deal Brexit through Parliament. I love how Moggy instantly reminds both Peston and the traitors in the House of Commons that the Article 50 Act and Withdrawal Act already states in law that we leave on the 31st of October with no deal by default as voted for by the House of Commons, if there is not a suitable deal agreed by Parliament, obviously. So Parliament has already signed that shit into law, meaning the Remoaning undemocratic spunk trumpets and useless fuckpigs that sit on these TV shows talking shit about blocking no deal are shit out of luck at the end of the day. They all voted for no deal when they voted through their max. So maybe we should thank them, because as Jacob said before, the law trumps any motion passed by MPs. Jacob Rees Mogg then calls out the undemocratic traitors who campaigned on a manifesto that no deal was better than a bad deal and are now going against that with their undemocratic attempts to block Brexit. Well done, Moggy mate. We are behind you in calling out the low-life traitors who want to ignore a democratic vote. Jacob goes on to call out the Tory MPs who are now trying to block Brexit, because obviously this is extremely hypocritical since they got elected on the back of something they now want to block. He says maybe they went along with the Brexit manifesto to have a quiet life. When no, Jacob, let's be realistic here. It wasn't for a quiet life. They campaigned on a Brexit manifesto to get elected as an MP, to milk the UK taxpayer for money, while they did their best to sabotage Brexit plans in an attempt to stop it altogether. You are being too polite, Moggy. These people are the septic spots on the arse of humanity who deserve no quarter to be shown for their disgraceful behaviour over the last few years. Call them out so the public knows they're a dirty bunch of traitors. We also hear Moggy state that Boris and the new government are not worried about a general election, and rightly states the UK would vote for Brexit a second and a third time. There is nothing to fear. Remoaners are outnumbered more now than they was in the 2016 referendum. Most of the population believes in democracy, so they will want the vote honoured. So I'm going to end the video there, guys. Moggy did well answering this shitweasel's questions. Never expected anything less from Jacob, to be honest. As always, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Remember to like, subscribe and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you in the next one.